I'm Peter Meredith, and welcome to the Writer's Review. Today we're taking a closer look at The Mandalorian Episode 7, the best episode of the season. 2 thumbs up.
You love me! You really love me!
I'm happy to say that I actually liked this episode. There were parts that were actually believable, exciting, and logically sound. The premise was not part of that, however. Apollo Creed reaches out to Mando and invites him into what is obviously a trap.
It's a trap! You have to imagine me with a giant squid head.
Mando may be stupid, but he's not so stupid as to walk into a trap alone, so he brings with him one soldier and an unarmed dwarfish pigman mechanic. And Baby Yoda, of course. Okay, so maybe he is that stupid, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Apollo claims Herzog is making his life hell and wants him killed. If Mando does the deed, Apollo will clear his name and all will be forgiven. It's simple stuff, so Mando recruits Rock'em Sock'em Gina, the shock trooper. He flies back to her planet, and we get what might be the best scene in Season 1. Gina and another man are fighting for cash. No one gets punched in the armor and says oof. No one has an inexplicable magic knife. No one repeats the same tired fight scene from every episode. It's a cool fight that makes sense. The after banter is fun, and I don't care what people say. Gina, the MMA fighter, outacts 95% of the cast throughout this entire season. With a little prodding, she agrees to walk blindly into Apollo's trap, and they fly off, where we get another excellent scene. As the two are talking, Baby Yoda decides he wants to pilot the ship, and of course nearly crashes them. It's super well done and super cute, and he's adorable as always. After this, they realize they're going to need a babysitter, and so they fly off to see the pigman. He refuses to watch the baby on principle. At this point, he and Gina start bickering back and forth, and you know what? It works. It fleshes out their characters in a realistic way. Who the hell wrote this episode? They're finally doing it right. Then the old bounty droid shows up. Here's where things go off the rails. Like I predicted he would, the pigman went to pick over the bad guy base from episode 1, and he keeps only the bounty droid? After this lie, the story is driven straight into a bog. It's a 5-minute montage of the pigman teaching the unstoppable droid to walk and move again.
Say what?
It's a robot, not a stroke victim. Mando doesn't want anything to do with it, but the pigman swears it's good now because he taught it to be good. Not this shit again. It's a robot, it's not a character. Maybe I shouldn't complain. The writers do so little with the existing characters that the robot actually has a bigger backstory and more personality than any of them. Why didn't the writers just say they installed the Betty Crocker package? It dices, it chops, it even does julienne fries. They waste all this time on this scene so that we can like the robot, so that when it sacrifices itself in the next episode, we'll have to hold back the tears. Spoiler alert, I barely hold it together when he dies. But that's for next week. So the schizo writers end the scene by having the pigman suddenly changing his mind. Yes, the story is back on track. Then it declares it will bring the 3 stealth pigs.
Why? 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 Why?
On a little spaceship? Is he only on babysitting duty? That's what he's there for. Why bring the 3 stealth pigs? He's there to babysit. Thankfully, we're back on track in the next scene. They're in space again, and Gina and Mando are arm wrestling, which is what soldiers and people like this would do. It's natural and great. Baby Yoda sees the little battle and interferes, force-choking Gina. Again, it's so cool, and the perfect opportunity to explore the dangers involved in raising a young and powerful Force user. They don't do that. Probably should have, but they don't. Sadly, they cut the scene short and they fly over Apollo and 3 of his buddies. They land about 100 feet away and decide to ride the stealth pigs over to him. Real quick question. Remember how Mando took 10 tries to get up on one of these things? How is Gina doing it? Are we supposed to believe the shock troopers take jousting lessons or something? Now, I understand why Mando isn't afraid of just 4 guys. He kills them a dozen at a time, usually. But what's to stop Apollo from bringing in 3 dropships full of soldiers and a couple of TIE fighters? Nothing. Luckily for Mando, Apollo thinks he can take them with just the 4. But for some reason, he decides to wait to spring his ambush. They start walking back to town. Hold on. Walking back to town? Apollo doesn't have a speeder or a ship? He walked all the way out there, and now he wants to camp for the night without a blankie or a tent?
Let me tell you something. You're suspect.
We cut to nighttime, and they're sitting around the campfire. And once again, we get another blatantly obvious setup. The pigman gives Baby Yoda a bite of some meat and declares, "So he is a carnivore." Didn't he watch Baby Yoda eat a frog 2 episodes ago? So why the line? You'll see. They're attacked. I bet you didn't see that coming. Yeah, right. We saw it coming a mile away, but it's still a cool scene as these mini pterodactyls come sweeping out of the dark. Everyone starts shooting, and once more, despite the pathetic setup, it's really cool. 2 of the stealth pigs and 1 of the bad guys are killed, and Apollo is scratched. It's poisonous, and he's in pain. Baby Yoda comes up to heal him, and Apollo blurts out, "It's going to eat me!" Really? You're afraid of Baby Yoda? That cute little guy? That guy right there, you're afraid of Baby Yoda? Really?
And then they're going to eat me. Oh my God!
I thought the line was so out of place and so stupid that I laughed. Then I started to worry that this was supposed to be funny. They wrote the stupid carnivore line just so it could be paid off like this? Wow, this is amateur writing at its worst. Because a show has a very limited amount of time to convey who the characters are, everything they do, including their jokes, must reinforce our perception of them. Deadpool is pure chaos. Tony Stark is an egotistical billionaire playboy. The Witcher is world-weary. This joke, or the line that Apollo spews, makes him seem like an abject coward. But he's not a coward, so we get a muddled character. $15 million an episode, and I have to teach writing 101 to these guys? So anyways, Baby Yoda heals him, and this act of kindness changes Apollo. Apollo decides to be a good guy, and he does this by murdering the 2 men he had come with in cold blood. I don't think that's how being good works. Apollo explains that they were going to ambush Mando and kill him, and so that makes murdering them okay. Inexplicably, Mando now trusts Apollo. Kind of like the 2 dead men had? So only now that they've camped overnight and traveled the 15 miles to town, they concoct a plan. They'll say that Mando was captured, and when they get in to see Herzog, Mando will kill him. Why did they wait until now to come up with this relatively simple plan? Is it because we have another setup? It's clear the writers have a desired outcome, but they just can't figure out how to get to it logically. They want Baby Yoda in danger, but because the bounty droid is way overpowered, they can't have him around, so they make excuse to leave him behind, even though he came for the stated purpose of protecting Baby Yoda, and they can't have Mando around for the same reason. So they drag the pigman all the way to the city, just to send him all the way back to the ship. But now that he's alone, they realize he's no fighter, and there'll be no tension in him waddling around with Baby Yoda, so they have to bring the stealth pigs. Ah, we finally get to the purpose of the stealth pigs in this episode. Talk about convoluted. And in order to get here, we had to mute the logical reaction of our heroes. There's no way Mando would let the pigs on board his ship, and there's no way the pigman would agree to walking Baby Yoda all the way to the city, only to send him packing all the way back. And Gina says nothing to any of this, even though it was her idea to get a babysitter in the first place. And why bring the killer droid only to leave it behind? None of this makes a lick of sense, and so no one says a word, which is the hallmark of bad writing. So the pigman goes back, and the rest go on to the city, which is just chock full of stormtroopers. This at least makes sense. They get to Herzog, and for some reason, he gives them a speech about the wonders of Nazism.
All right, I get it. You're evil. Do we have to chat about it all day?
Then he segues quickly to, "Let's see the baby." Is there a better time to kill Herzog? I'm thinking this is it, the big fight. But for some reason, Apollo says the baby's sleeping. Huh? This guy was just telling us how great Nazism is. Do you think he's going to care about waking up a baby? Just as he demands to see the baby, Herzog gets a call from the true bad guy. Herzog tells him that he has Baby Yoda, but the real bad guy asks, "Are you sure?" So, now that his attention is diverted, Mando should kill Herzog, right? The writers want action, and this would be the best time. But the real bad guy beats him to it. There's a sudden barrage of gunfire from outside, and Herzog and the stormtroopers die. It's quick, violent, kinda cool, and very dumb. Can we ask why? Why do the writers of the show feel they have to copy everything from the other Star Wars movies? Darth Vader killed underlings, so this guy has to do it as well?
It's okay to be different. And it would be pretty boring if we were all the same, wouldn't you think?
After the gunfire kills only the bad guys, and we see all the stormtroopers outside, a TIE fighter descends into the company, and once more we have a cool scene. I love this. I was expecting the bad guy to be imposing or scary, so it was something of a letdown when Darth Urkel comes out of the TIE fighter. I was like, this is the guy they chose? He strides through the stormtroopers and delivers this line. "You have something I want." I'm not kidding, me and Stacy both cracked up laughing at this. I have to say that the casting during this first season has been below average. The evil assassin was just there and dull. Evil Santa chuckled his way through every scene, and Bilbo with tits was just pathetic. But Darth Urkel is the worst. He was great in Breaking Bad. He exuded a dark malevolence, but here he has no presence. He looks like he's wearing a costume. And the line makes no sense either. He just killed Herzog because he didn't have Baby Yoda. How does he know? No idea. Does he have one of those stupid tracking fobs? If so, why is he wasting time talking to Mando? Mando screams into his radio for the pigman to run away, and this is picked up by two stormtroopers on bikes. They zip out into the desert and somehow know exactly where the pigman is. He gallops for dear life, and although the entire setup is forced, the scene is well shot, and the fact they kill him just shy of the Razor Crest is a good touch. The cameras linger on his body, and I guess we're supposed to be sad? Not so much. I'm not even sure why they killed him.
Because they're evil.
Now I know. The episode ends with Baby Yoda being scooped up and taken away. It's a nice cliffhanger. Now, I did say that this episode was my favorite of the entire season, but that doesn't mean it was actually good. The storyline was choppy, and the good scenes were interspersed with crap. I'm still generously giving this episode an 83. The reason why I say generous is because had this been an episode of Firefly or Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I would have savaged it and called it a terrible episode. But since it's The Mandalorian, I'm grading on a scale. Since you deserve a powerful story with far more depth, I'd like to suggest The Punished. There is no way out. The house takes them, flies in the web, and won't let them go. The house is beautiful and silent as a tomb. There are children at play, pretending to live as their souls are sucked out of them. There is no way out. The doors are locked and the windows hammered shut. Some have been there for years, their minds warped into insanity by the fear and pain. Kurt is new and can't understand why no one speaks and why the only sounds come from the night. He wonders what it is that comes out of the basement when the sun goes down. There is no way out until you are cold and stiff.